Good evening. You're watching the news on Croatian television. Parliament succeeded today in electing 4 new members of the Parliamentary Commission tasked with deciding on matters of conflict of interest, but failed to agree upon a president. Neither incumbent Dalija Orešković nor Nataša Novaković received the necessary 76-vote majority.
We elected 4 out of the 5 candidates. I hope that next time we will elect one of the 2 candidates in the running for the Commission President. If we fail to do so, it will not be the end of the world. We will then start from the beginning with a new public tender for fresh candidates. In this regard, I see no problem whatsoever. We have a situation here where an institution has done its job for the past 4 years with the full support of the Croatian Parliament. Also, Parliament was nearly unanimous in accepting their annual report. The President of the Commission has the wide support of the public and is running for another mandate. The parliamentary majority does not have the gumption to say publicly that they don't support her. Meanwhile, in a secret vote, their preferred candidate failed to receive enough votes.
Yesterday's testimony in front of the Economy Committee by Economy Minister Martina Dalić and Agricore's government-appointed crisis manager Ante Ramljak was discussed this afternoon in Parliament. Opposition MPs say it proves the government tailor-made the so-called Lex Agricor to suit the interests of predatory investors.
Mr. Petrov was the first to propose Mr. Ramljak as the government-appointed crisis manager. Most also voted together with the HDZ in favor of the legislation. Now they've become the harshest critics of the man that they themselves proposed, as well as the legislation they voted for. They should deal with their own credibility first. Plenković is trying to wash his hands of this whole affair. He has not come before the media himself, but has instead pushed his deputy prime minister and the government-appointed crisis manager to do it for him. This, Mr. Borić, speaks of how much trouble he is in.
Parliament also adopted a new law on agricultural land, with 78 votes in favor, 49 against, and 3 abstentions. The law gives local farmers priority access to state-owned land for 25-year leasing periods. Local self-governments will decide on the amount of land that can be leased by each individual person or legal entity. The General Assembly of the Uljanik Shipbuilding Company has decided to increase their equity capital by more than 40 million euros. The Assembly also agreed on the conditions for bringing in a strategic partner and the company's recapitalization.
If our strategic partners are interested, our Winter Nautical Service Center for mega yachts and other specialized ships could directly provide Uljanik with up to 100 million euros of fresh capital for shipbuilding. The government has also vowed to support our shipbuilding industry. All of this is exclusively designed for the long-term sustainability of Uljanik's shipbuilding capabilities in Pula.
Croatia's Minister of Foreign and European Affairs, Marija Pejčinović-Burić, and Defense Minister Damir Krstičević are in Germany for the 54th Munich Security Conference. The 3-day event discusses the biggest threats to international security and aims to develop a stronger European defense strategy. Meanwhile, the head of the nation's Security Intelligence Agency underlined Croatia's important role in the region.
First and foremost, our partners in the EU and NATO have recognized our powerful position in the region. Of course, there are certain events underway in our immediate region, but we are certainly the main partner to report on such issues.
The government began negotiations on a new collective bargaining agreement for workers in the healthcare industry, but without the participation of physicians' unions. The Croatian Medical Chamber has called the move discriminatory, adding that the law on representation passed 4 years ago was to blame for the exclusion.
It must be said that these negotiations have to follow existing legislation. Minister Kujundžić and I have already sat down with the Physicians' Union and the Croatian Association of Hospital Physicians to work on a solution. We will very shortly come out and present a possible solution in a way that will include doctors in the negotiation process moving forward. Physicians must participate in the negotiations regarding their material rights, working conditions, and so on. I believe we will come up with a solution in the coming months.
A new passenger ferry built by the Dalmont shipyard near Rijeka was unveiled by President Kolinda Grabar-Kitarović earlier today. The ship, worth more than 1 million euros, can carry up to 100 personal vehicles and 600 passengers. The ferry will run between the mainland and the island of Rab.
We must continue to put forth effort to not only maintain but make advances in this sector. The government will continue to follow the restructuring process and lend its support when necessary. We've seen with Uljanik how important the government's support is when it comes to maintaining overall stability.
Taking a quick look at sports, at the Winter Olympic Games in Pyeongchang, South Korea, Croatia's Andreja Komšić placed 31st in the women's slalom, while Ida Stimac failed to complete her second run. The men's Super G event was also held today, with Croatia's Natko Zrnčić-Dim coming in 29th. Unfortunately, Filip Zubčić did not finish. And in the men's cross-country 15-kilometer free event, Krešimir Crnković exceeded expectations by placing 47th, and Edi Dadić came in 53rd. Tomorrow's weather forecast calls for partly sunny skies in the first half of the day with early morning fog. Increased cloud coverage will move in during the afternoon. The northern Adriatic and the northwestern areas of the continent will get scattered rain towards evening and overnight, while mountainous areas may get sleet and snow. Winds along the Adriatic will be weak and come out of the northeast. Morning lows of -8 to -3 degrees inland and from 3 to 7 on the coast will give way to highs of 3 to 9 inland and from 10 to 14 degrees Celsius on the coast. The 3-day forecast for the interior calls for periods of light rain. Sleet and snow could remain on the ground in mountainous areas. Morning temperatures are expected to be somewhat warmer, while daytime highs will be slightly cooler. The Adriatic coast will also be mostly cloudy with intermittent rain. Sunday will be windier as a strong northeasterly with gale force gusts moves in. Morning temperatures are also expected to be relatively warm. And that brings us to the end of our program. Thanks for watching. We'll see you again tomorrow night.